Hi, everybody. How are you today? We have had a beautiful spring day here in Sunshine, Alaska. We made it to like 50 degrees, and that's very warm. If you're living down where it's 100 degrees, 50 degrees doesn't sound like much, but it's awesome to go out without a coat on, and it was just beautiful. Still is beautiful. I want to share 3 stories with you. Mr. Gumpy's outing, a summery Saturday morning, and Whistle for Willie. These are 3 stories all about taking adventures outside. All of these stories are fiction, meaning they're not true stories, but 2 of the stories, A Summery Saturday Morning and Whistle for Willie, are stories that could really happen. They could really happen. But Mr. Gumpy's outing is about Mr. Gumpy and a bunch of animals in a boat. Kind of like Noah's Ark, but not. But this story is very unlikely to ever happen. So I think I'd like to start with Whistle for Willie. Another thing about these stories, or they all take place in a different scene or a different setting. See if you can figure out where they're at and what's happening. One's in the city and 2 are in the countryside. So here we go. Whistle for Willie by Ezra Jack Keats. Oh, how Peter wished he could whistle. He saw a boy playing with his dog. Whenever the boy whistled, the dog ran straight to him. Peter tried and tried to whistle, but he couldn't. So instead, he began to turn himself around and around and around. He whirled faster and faster. Do you ever twirl around so fast that you fall down? Well, let's see if that happens to Peter. When he stopped, everything turned down and up and down and up and down and around and around. Peter saw his dog, Willie, coming. Quick as a wink, he hid in an empty carton lying on the sidewalk. Wouldn't it be funny if he whistled? Peter thought. Willie would stop and look all around. Who was it? Peter tried again to whistle, but still he couldn't. So Willie, whoa, no, I dropped the book. So Willie just walked on. Good thing that book is made of paper. Peter got out of the carton and started home. On the way, he took some colored chalks out of his pocket and drew a long, long line. Right up to his door. He stood there and tried to whistle again. He blew till his cheeks were tired, but nothing happened. He went into his house and put on his father's old hat to make himself feel more grown up. He looked into the mirror and practiced whistling. Still no whistle. It's a cute picture, though, isn't it? When his mother saw what he was doing, Peter pretended that he was his father. He said, I've come back early today, dear. Is Peter here? His mother answered, Why, no, he's outside with Willie. Well, I'll go out and look for them, said Peter. First, he walked along a crack in the sidewalk. Then he tried to run away from his shadow. Don't you love the illustrations in this book? He jumped off his shadow, but when he landed, they were together again. He came to the corner where the carton was, and who should he see but Willie? Peter scrambled under the carton. He blew and he blew and he blew. Suddenly, out came a real whistle. Willie stopped and looked around to see who it was. "It's me!" Peter shouted and stood up. Willie raced straight toward him. Look at Peter. Willie looks happy too. Peter ran home to show his father and mother what he could do. They loved Peter's whistling. So did Willie. Peter's mother asked him and Willie to go on an errand to the grocery store. He whistled all the way there, and he whistled all the way home. That was a cute story. Whistle for Willie. Were you trying to whistle while I was reading the story? I figured you probably were. The next one I want to read is called A Summery Saturday Morning. Oh, I'm sure you noticed that Whistle for Willie was in the city. And I bet you noticed because you saw stoplights and buildings. Like there's a barber shop and different buildings. So Whistle for Willie was in a city. A Summery Saturday Morning is illustrated by Selena Young, and it's written by Margaret Mahay. Look at that picture. Where do you think this is? It certainly doesn't look like a city to me. Here's a bigger picture. I see sailboats and some mountains and some green trees. Looks like the countryside, maybe by a lake somewhere. Let's read this story and see what happens. I'll show the pictures first because there's a lot to see. We take the dogs down the wiggly track, the wiggly track, the wiggly track. One dog's white and the other dog's black on a summery Saturday morning. Are you hearing those rhymes in there? Are you hearing the repeating words? Wiggly track, the wiggly track. Here's more illustrations. Uh-oh. Something new is added to the picture. Let's see what's going. They're not walking anymore. Look what they're doing. Can you see? Bad dogs chase the cat. Chase the cat, chase the cat. One dog's thin and the other dog's fat on a summery Saturday morning. The words in this book make it kind of fun to read. Show you the picture again. Oh, there's something new. A boy on a bike. Oh, look, he has something in his basket. He has on rubber boots. I wonder where the boy's going. They chase the boy on a rattly bike, the rattly bike, the rattly bike. Chasing things is what dogs like on a summery Saturday morning. One more time. Oh, look behind the boy. There's a lot in this illustration. There's two people walking a dog. Hope I'm giving you enough time to look at all the illustrations because they're really quite fun. Oh, what do you think? You think that boy's taking his bike and that boat that was in his basket down there? That would be fun to do, wouldn't it? Long grass grows on the edge of the sea, the edge of the sea, the edge of the sea. The wind is blowing wild and free on a summery Saturday morning. Can you see in the illustrations? See these dark little lines there? It kind of makes it look like that grass is blowing in the wind. A goose looks out of the tangled green, the tangled green, the tangled green. Her neck is long and her eye is mean on a summery Saturday morning. Another goose, and then another, then another, then another. 7 sleek sisters out with mother on a summery Saturday morning. Let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That one was kind of hidden. The geese begin to run away. Run away, run away. The dogs run too. They want to play on a summery Saturday morning. We run too to catch the dogs, to catch the dogs, to catch the dogs, scattering shells and leaping logs on a summery Saturday morning. By this time, are you repeating that last line with me? On a summery Saturday morning? I sure hope so. Oh, their faces aren't looking too happy right now. Can you see what's going on? Well, I'll read the words and we'll find out, okay? The mud begins its guggly wugs. It's guggly wugs, it's guggly wugs. Our sandals slide like sluggly wugs on a summery Saturday morning. Aren't those words fun? Guggly wugs and sluggly wugs? The geese turn around and flap and hiss. Flap and hiss, flap and hiss. The dogs were not expecting this on a summery Saturday morning. The geese began to chase us back, to chase us back, to chase us back, out of the mud and up the track on a summery Saturday morning. If you want to walk in peace, walk in peace, walk in peace, don't let your dogs upset the geese on a summery Saturday morning. That's the end, and then it's back to where we started from. Isn't that fun? Now that's a story that could really happen, just like Whistle for Willie. This one could really happen. Do you go out hiking much? Where I live, we can go take walks right out our front doors and go out into the wilderness, and it's a lot of fun. This past summer, I was down in Idaho visiting Poppy and Sophie, and I went hiking with Poppy and her mama, Michelle. And we went to this beautiful place and we parked the car and we walked up a trail and up a hill and down a hill for a little bit. And it was pretty, but it was pretty not real interesting or anything. We didn't find much. But we came down the hill and we crossed the street and went down another trail. And it went into like a magical enchanted forest. It was really cool. And it looked like a class or somebody had been there and they had built structures with the down twigs and stuff. And it was a place where you could imagine fairies living or gnomes or trolls, or it was really a great place. We didn't collect anything there, but sometimes when I go walking, I collect things that I find interesting. Here's a stick that I collected once. Now this stick has holes drilled in it, but I drilled those holes in there because I want to make this into a wind chime of some sort. But doesn't that look like an animal? Maybe from Africa or something? I really like that. Here's another stick. Now this stick has holes in it, and I didn't drill these holes. This came from, the marks in here came from some sort of insect or worm or something fun like that. And then I also like to collect rocks when I'm out walking. I know a lot of people do. So I hope when you go out walking that you're allowed to collect things, or if you go to the seashore, you can collect seashells and whatnot. Well, I have one more story that I want to share this evening, and it's called Mr. Gumpy's Outing. And this is one of my favorite stories that I would read to my preschool class. We would make a great big boat and we would act it out. So maybe if you ever get this book from the library, or if you watch my story, you could act it out, maybe using some of your stuffed animals, pretending they're the animals that are in the boat. So Mr. Gumpy's Outing by John Birmingham. This is Mr. Gumpy. Mr. Gumpy owned a boat, and his house was by the river. One day, Mr. Gumpy went out in his boat. "May we come with you?" said the children. "Yes," said Mr. Gumpy, "if you don't squabble." Do you know what squabble means? That's right, kind of like arguing, bickering back and forth, like, uh-huh, I'm telling Mom. That's kind of squabbling. You've never done that, have you? "Can I come along, Mr. Gumpy?" said the rabbit. "Yes, but don't hop about." I love the illustrations in this book. "I'd like a ride," said the cat. "Very well," said Mr. Gumpy, "but you're not to chase the rabbit." "Will you take me with you?" said the dog. "Yes," said Mr. Gumpy, "but don't tease the cat." This boat's getting crowded. "May I come, please, Mr. Gumpy?" said the pig. "Very well, but don't muck about." That's a fun word too, muck about. Pigs like to roll around in the mud to keep cool. That's called muck about. "Have you a place for me?" said the sheep. "Yes, but don't keep bleeding." "Can we come too?" said the chickens. "Yes, but don't flap," said Mr. Gumpy. "Can you make room for me?" said the calf. "Yes, if you don't trample about." Oh my goodness, that boat just got to be full. No, it's not. "May I join you, Mr. Gumpy?" said the goat. "Very well, but don't kick." It's almost like Noah's Ark. See that picture? For a little while, they all went along happily. But then the goat kicked, the calf trampled, the chickens flapped, the sheep bleated, the pig mucked about, the dog teased the cat chased the rabbit hopped, the children squabbled, and the boat tipped. Oh my. And into the water they fell. Then Mr. Gumpy and the goat and the calf and the chickens and the sheep and the pig and the dog and the cat and the rabbit and the children all swam to the bank and climbed out to dry in the hot sun. We'll walk home across the field, said Mr. Gumpy. It's time for tea. Ooh, wrong way. That's a pretty looking field, isn't it? It'd be nice to go walking through there. Can imagine the birds singing. And here they are back at Mr. Gumpy's having tea. That's a fun story, isn't it? I really like that one. And I hope you get a chance to act that out sometime. I just noticed that Winter Song's back here in the frame. And I've shared Winter Song's picture with you before, I think. But I wanted to show you the frame when I was talking about gathering things when you go out into the woods. This is a frame that I had made using some seeds of different things that I found. And it used to have some little twigs right here, but it's very old and they fell off. So I'll have to get some new ones on one of my walks. So that's what you can do, is you can do art projects with the things you find out in the woods or at the beach or in the forest. I guess forest and woods are kind of the same, aren't they? Well, you guys have fun. I'm going to go have some dinner, and I hope you guys enjoy the stories and be grateful and thankful. And don't forget to tell someone I love you, and don't forget to smile. Bye.